Have you noticed your focus getting a little fuzzy lately, even during completely simple, everyday tasks? Maybe you're battling constant brain fog, or you find yourself rereading the exact same sentence 6 times before the meaning finally sinks in. If you're struggling with low mental energy, I want you to know you're definitely not alone, and honestly, you're probably looking for a solution that actually works, entirely free of the usual marketing hype. So, in this video, we're going to impartially deconstruct a supplement that has been getting a lot of serious attention lately, called Phytomem 1. We're going to dive into what it is, exactly how it works, what the ingredients actually do based on our research, and the real facts you need to know before you spend your hard-earned money.
Based on our analysis, the reason so many adults are actively searching for cognitive support right now isn't simply because we're all just getting older. It's actually because our modern environment is actively challenging our brain health in completely new ways we really haven't seen before in human history. If you've been feeling that heavy afternoon crash or that awful blank stare during conversations where you just cannot pull a simple word to the front of your mind, you know exactly how frustrating it is. You don't just want a quick caffeine fix that leaves you feeling more exhausted 2 hours later. You want to get to the actual root of the problem. And getting to the root of the problem means understanding exactly what we are up against environmentally. Back in April 2026, a major peer-reviewed study was published in Nature Health, and what they found was significant. Researchers detected microplastics in nearly all 191 human brain samples tested. This represents a massive shift in how the scientific community understands environmental impacts on cognitive wellness. And quite frankly, it's driven a huge surge in demand for brain health supplements that attempt to do more than just pump your nervous system full of temporary stimulants. To give you the clearest, most objective picture possible, here is exactly how we'll break things down today. First, we'll look at the root causes of modern brain fog. Then, we'll outline what Phytomem 1 is. After that, we'll decode their specific marketing claims, followed by a deep reality check on the actual ingredients. Finally, we'll cover the hidden risks, the return policy, and our final assessment. Let's start with Section 1. To understand why a product like Phytomem 1 even exists on the market, you first have to look at what is actively causing this modern brain fog. As it turns out, it's the combination of environmental factors and metabolic health. And the connection between these two is becoming basically impossible to ignore in current research. The microplastics issue has actually become so universally recognized that the US government recently launched the STOMP program. This is a $144 million initiative specifically designed to address microplastics in the human body. But there's another piece to the puzzle. At the exact same time, we're seeing rising scientific awareness of how our metabolic health, specifically how our brain utilizes insulin and glucose, directly impacts our cognition. Based on our research, when your brain cells become insulin resistant, they literally struggle to absorb the fuel they need to function. It's kind of like a car running out of gas while sitting right next to a fuel pump. This dual threat of environmental stressors and metabolic dysfunction has created a massive demand for non-stimulant supplements that try to address these root causes rather than just masking the symptoms. So, moving to Section 2, what exactly is Phytomem 1? Let's look at their proposed solution. Before we get into the specifics of the formula, I do want to mention right up front, if at any point you decide this product is right for you, the only safe place to purchase it is through their official website. I've linked it directly in the description below for you. More on why avoiding third-party sellers is absolutely crucial for your safety later in the video, but for now, just know that link is the only verified source. So Phytomem 1 is a daily dietary supplement manufactured in the US within an FDA-registered, GMP-certified facility. GMP stands for Good Manufacturing Practices. And in my assessment, this is the absolute baseline you should always look for to ensure basic product safety and quality. Unlike traditional capsules, this one actually comes in a chewable tablet form, which is a really nice feature if you experience pill fatigue. The manufacturer positions this product as a dual defense system. Based on our research, what they mean by this is that they designed the formula to support two things simultaneously: metabolic wellness, which helps your brain use energy efficiently, and cognitive protection against those modern environmental stressors we just talked about. It's meant to be a slow and steady support system that builds up in your body over weeks, not some jittery energy drink that hits you in 20 minutes. Now, on to Section 3. As with literally any supplement on the internet, we need to separate the actual science from the slogans. Let's decode the marketing claims the brand uses heavily on its website. The first phrase you're going to see heavily featured in their materials is plastic stranglehold. The brand uses this very dramatic imagery to describe their theory on how microplastics impact brain function. Now, it is incredibly important to understand that plastic stranglehold is a brand-coined marketing phrase. It is not an FDA-recognized diagnosis, and it's certainly not a medical condition you will find in any medical textbook. Well, the underlying peer-reviewed research about microplastics in the brain is very real and very concerning. Based on our analysis, no dietary supplement has an FDA-evaluated claim for actively clearing plastic out of your brain tissue. This term is simply the brand's proprietary marketing framework for highlighting a real, emerging scientific concern. The second phrase you'll frequently encounter on their site is type 3 diabetes. Some independent researchers and prominent doctors have actually casually used this term in recent years to describe brain insulin resistance, specifically in relation to cognitive decline and memory issues. However, just like the previous phrase, it is not an official clinical diagnosis. You can't go to your doctor and be formally diagnosed with type 3 diabetes. Phytomem 1 utilizes this phrase to highlight their formula's deep focus on metabolic pathways. They're making the argument that if your brain can't properly absorb and utilize glucose because of insulin resistance, standard brain supplements that just increase blood flow aren't actually going to help you. It is a highly compelling theory, but again, treat this term as a marketing framework, not a verified medical claim.
Let's dive into Section 4. We know the theories they are marketing, but what is actually inside the physical bottle? Let's do an ingredient reality check.
Based on our analysis, this is where the product shows both its most fascinating scientific strengths and its biggest structural weakness. The formula contains 10 active ingredients, and we need to look at what they actually do based on current evidence. First up is Berberine HCl. This is arguably the most powerful metabolic compound in the natural health space right now. Based on our research, berberine works by activating an enzyme called AMPK, which is often called the body's metabolic master switch. It's heavily studied for improving insulin sensitivity and regulating blood sugar. In the context of a brain supplement, the idea here is that by improving systemic insulin sensitivity, you're helping the brain absorb glucose more effectively, clearing up that metabolic-induced brain fog. Next, you have saffron extract. While you probably know it as a very expensive cooking spice, saffron actually has a deep background in preclinical and clinical research showing a remarkable ability to reduce neuroinflammation and support mood. It's often studied for its neuroprotective effects, acting to shield brain cells from oxidative stress. In my assessment, this is a very strong, well-regarded ingredient for cognitive formulations. Then we have a pair of marine compounds, fucosanthin and fucoidone, which are extracted from brown seaweeds and kelp. These are potent antioxidants. Fucoidone specifically has been studied for its ability to modulate the immune system and reduce systemic inflammation. In the context of environmental stressors, these ingredients act as a cellular defense mechanism, helping to neutralize free radicals before they can damage delicate brain tissue. Moving down the list, we see a cluster of metabolic supporters: Ceylon cinnamon bark, coralic acid, and kudzu flower extract. Ceylon cinnamon is widely recognized for its mild blood sugar balancing properties. Coralic acid, usually extracted from the banana leaf, has been shown in studies to help transport glucose into cells, perfectly complementing the berberine. And kudzu flower extract is often used in traditional medicine to support liver function and metabolism. Together, these three reinforce the supplement's goal of ensuring your brain has a stable, consistent energy supply. You also have oleuropein, which is the primary active compound found in olive leaves. Research suggests oleuropein is fantastic for cardiovascular health, specifically by supporting healthy blood pressure and encouraging flexible blood vessels. Better vascular health logically means better, more efficient blood flow to the brain, delivering oxygen exactly where it's needed. Finally, the formula rounds out with citrus sinensis, providing another layer of citrus-based antioxidants, and xylitol. Xylitol is a sugar alcohol used here as a non-glycemic sweetener to make the chewable tablet taste good without spiking your blood sugar, which would entirely defeat the metabolic purpose of the supplement. So on paper, looking at this list, these ingredients have a very real, scientifically interesting background, targeting glucose metabolism and cellular stress.
But here is the critical, absolute, most important number you need to pay attention to on the entire label: 458 milligrams. That is the total weight of the active ingredients contained in each chewable tablet. And this brilliantly illustrates the biggest structural limitation of this supplement. All 10 of those fantastic ingredients we just discussed are packed into a single 458 milligram proprietary blend. A proprietary blend is a common labeling practice where the manufacturer lists what is in the formula, but they legally do not have to disclose the individual, specific dosages of each ingredient. Why does this matter to you? Let's use the berberine as an example. Clinical studies that show berberine improving insulin sensitivity typically use dosages ranging from 500 milligrams up to 1,500 milligrams per day. Because this entire blend of 10 ingredients weighs only 458 milligrams in total, it is mathematically impossible for you to be getting clinical, standalone doses of every single ingredient.
You are undeniably getting a combination of these compounds, and they may absolutely have a synergistic effect when taken together. But based on the evidence, you simply cannot verify if any of them are dosed high enough to replicate the specific standalone studies the brand cites in their marketing. This lack of transparency is definitely frustrating when the ingredient choices themselves are actually so good.
There is also a specific discrepancy we found during our analysis between the marketing website and the physical product label. The sales page heavily promotes a hero ingredient called Morsel, which is a branded, highly standardized, clinically studied Sicilian red orange extract known for reducing inflammatory markers. However, if you look at the actual supplement facts label on the physical bottle, it just says Citrus sinensis, which is the generic, broad species name for all sweet oranges. They might very well be using the premium Morsel extract inside the tablet, but you simply cannot confirm that by looking at the FDA-regulated label. If you are buying this product specifically for the Morsel clinical research, you have to completely take the brand's word for it, which is something you should always be aware of as a smart consumer. This brings us to Section 5, and arguably the most important part of this entire video. We need to talk about the hidden risks, safety warnings, and the fine print that buyers routinely miss before they click order. Because this supplement actively targets metabolic pathways, it comes with highly specific safety considerations. The most critical safety flag in this entire formula is the berberine. While berberine is a highly effective compound in research for blood sugar and inflammation, it is powerful. And because it's powerful, it has very serious, well-documented interactions with common prescription medications. If you are on blood thinners like warfarin, diabetes medications like metformin, statins for cholesterol like simstatin, or blood pressure medications like ACE inhibitors, berberine can alter how those drugs are metabolized in your liver. It can amplify them or blunt their effects. In my assessment, if you currently take any prescription medication, you absolutely must consult a licensed healthcare professional before taking Phytomem 1. Please do not skip that step. Next, let's look at the reality of their 60-day money-back guarantee. The good news here is that the 60-day clock actually starts on the date of delivery, not the date you place your order. This is a solid policy because it gives you a fair, full 60-day evaluation window to see if it works for you. However, you need to know the practicalities of how it actually works. If you decide you want a refund, you have to physically return the bottles to their warehouse, even the empty ones. You are personally responsible for paying the return shipping costs at the post office, and your final refund will have your original shipping fees deducted. It is a legitimate guarantee, and they do honor it based on our research, but it is not completely free of hassle or minor shipping costs. Okay, let's bring this all together in Section 6 for our final assessment. Who is Phytomem 1 actually for, and is it a smart place to put your money? Let's weigh the verified facts. Let's look at the balance of pros and cons here. On the pro side, first, the ingredients genuinely have a real, deep metabolic research background. This isn't just a caffeine pill designed to trick you into feeling temporarily energetic. Second, it is manufactured right here in the USA in an FDA-registered GMP-certified facility, ensuring strong base-level safety standards. Third, it comes in a convenient, chewable tablet format, which is excellent if you hate swallowing large capsules. And fourth, it targets dual pathways, intelligently addressing both brain fuel efficiency and environmental inflammation at the same time. But we absolutely cannot ignore the cons. First, the proprietary blend hides the exact individual ingredient doses, meaning we can't mathematically verify clinical efficacy for things like the saffron or cinnamon. Second, the berberine presents serious, potentially dangerous drug interaction risks for anyone on prescription medications. Third, the premium Morsel extract claim isn't explicitly transparent on the physical label. And fourth, utilizing the return policy requires you to pay return shipping and lose your original shipping fees, meaning it's not a $0 risk. If you weigh those pros and cons and decide you do want to try it, here is exactly how to do it safely. Phytomem 1 is only legitimately available directly through their official website. Do not, under any circumstances, go searching for this on Amazon, eBay, or third-party marketplaces. The brain supplement category is currently flooded with highly sophisticated counterfeit products. These fakes often look identical on the outside but contain completely wrong ingredients, completely lack quality control, and in worst-case scenarios have been found contaminated with dangerous unlisted fillers. The link I've placed in the description below takes you directly to the verified official website, not a reseller, not a third-party listing. That is the only link I share because it is the exact singular source I trust to give you the authentic product. Pricing ranges from $79 for a single bottle down to $49 per bottle if you buy a bulk package. Based on our analysis of how these specific metabolic ingredients work, cognitive supplements like this take time to build up in your system. This isn't a quick fix. Results typically take 3 to 6 weeks of consistent daily use. For that reason, I logically recommend considering the larger packages. Not only do they offer the best overall value through steep discounts and free shipping, but they also ensure you don't run out of the supplement right when the ingredients are starting to actually take effect in your body. Stopping early prevents results.
In my final assessment, Phytomem 1 is a legitimate product with a very smart, scientifically fascinating approach to brain health. It is highly ideal for otherwise healthy adults experiencing brain fog who want to address their underlying metabolic health and who aren't looking for a harsh, anxiety-inducing stimulant. However, it is explicitly not for anyone currently taking blood thinners, diabetes medication, or blood pressure medication without a doctor's strict approval. So, you have to ask yourself, does the unique dual defense metabolic approach justify the lack of exact dosages in the proprietary blend? If you value the highly specific combination of these premium ingredients and have realistic expectations about the time it takes to see metabolic changes, it is a solid, compelling option to test using their 60-day window. Just remember, if you do decide to try it, use the official link in the description to ensure you stay safe from counterfeits. Thanks for joining me for this video, and keep your mind sharp.